So this post from Reddit is going viral. 4,455 likes. Was posted a couple of hours ago. 509 retweets. Apparently, there is the controversy regarding Henry Cavill accusing him of sexismus. And the accusation is due to the fact that while he was on the Witcher project, he didn't want to listen to the showrunners because he wanted to maintain the IP. And the showrunners happen to be female, and of course you're not allowed to talk back or disagree with a member of the aristocracy, apparently. And because all the showrunners despise the IP, they came into conflict with him. So that was the accusation of sexismus. Now, people on Reddit are commenting, and there have been many people accusing him of being an incel. Henry Cavill, an incel. I mean, this is a man which most likely, if he wanted, he could sleep with a different woman every night. Like, he could just seduce a lady by going out at any pub, anywhere. Just pick up a random chick, seduce her. Like, that would be the person for that night. I mean, look at his jaw. Like, you can cut diamonds with it. I also love the fact that he's a conservative. Yes, because if you like an IP now, and you're true to the source material, you must be a conservative. Like, this actually states that in order to be a left-leaning person, you have to destroy art. Like, there is no other way. You go into something that is popular, that is nice. Like, for example, GTA, right? You look at GTA and you're like, no, GTA is problematic. We need to remove things from it. This is what's happening with Dungeons & Dragons right now. The developers of Dungeons & Dragons, instead of talking about what they're going to add, they're like, okay, well, we got problems. We got all the races, they're different. We need to remove that. We got slavery. We need to remove that. We got some races stronger than others. We need to remove that. Like, just removing things from it. That is what it means to be a left-leaning person. Like, you go into something established that people enjoy, and you just start removing things. But what I find interesting is the incel thing, right? The incel means involuntary celibate. So a person who wants a girlfriend and can't get it. Now, the reason that this became an insult is because it's a classic, right? Like, if you tell a man, it used to be, I don't really hear it that often anymore, like calling them a virgin or living in their mother's basement, right? Like, these used to be insults. It doesn't mean necessarily that they lived in the mother's basement. It's basically like someone that's not independent. Like, you're of an age and you're still dependent by the parents. And the insult was, like, targeted at the masculinity of the person. Now, you have feminism, and they say, well, we shouldn't talk about gender roles and blah, blah, blah. So, basically what they're doing is they're saying, you know, it's not okay to insult a man based on his virginity, right? Because it's like, oh, well, you're a man. You're expected to lose your virginity by the age of whatever. So they had to create different insults. Now, the thing with the incel, what I find interesting, is that there was a tragedy in the United States, and I think many institutions banned the I guess, like, the people who self-identify as incels as terrorists. So when you're calling a man an incel, you're literally calling him a terrorist, right? And you're asking for the platform and everything else to censor him. Now, what I find interesting is that incel only applies to conservatives. Because this is what we see here, right? Like, if you have a left-leaning person that's very progressive, you know, very woke, they're not going to call him an incel, even if he doesn't have a girlfriend. Like, I noticed that, you know, like, left-leaning people would use this insult against other left-leaning people. They only use it against right-wingers. So what it actually means is what this person is saying. Of course, this is what he goes to bat over, instead of actual social justice issues. So, the problem isn't that he doesn't like the movie or that he's against the show. The problem is that he's a right-winger, according to this person. And by the way, I literally don't know what Henry Cavill's political affiliation is. Like, he never stated. I don't think he voted for Trump or anything like that, but maybe he did. I have no idea. But the idea is like, no, incel means you need to adhere to the group, right? Like, if you're not part of the hive mind, then you're the problem. So the hive mind means if you're an actor in Hollywood, you have to give the speech. You have to care about social justice. You have to talk about the importance of diversity, inclusivity, equity, even if it doesn't make sense. So, for example, Witcher, which takes place in a fictional medieval Europe, written by Polish people, right? And it doesn't make sense. Like, why would you have a diverse group of people on that continent, considering that planes aren't invented, right? Like, people from one continent in The Witcher can't just go there. And they don't explain how that happens. Like, they don't explain why the world of Witcher is so multicultural. Because you can have diversity in The Witcher, just, you know, they have continents where there are black people, and you can have an adventure there. It would actually be interesting and would make for a good TV show. But they don't want to do that. No, they just want to just Americanize, if you will, this version of fantasy Europe without explaining why it's so Americanized. I mean, you just have, like, black characters and white characters in a medieval setting, living on the same continent, in the same place. They don't explain, oh, well, these are merchants, they're coming by ships. I guess, like, Game of Thrones did a good job, right? Like, Game of Thrones actually explains why the characters there are black and they're in Westeros. It makes sense. But this is my point. It doesn't have to make sense, right? If you're complaining about it, you're already being an incel. Like, if you use my arguments, and I'm saying, well, you know, I want immersion, and for me, immersive is to actually look at something that makes sense. No, I'm the problem. And it's even worse when it's about historical movies. Like, imagine if you have a historical movie about the Shogun, and it takes place in medieval Japan, and there happens to be some white guys there. And no one asks, like, why are they here? What are they doing? You know, everyone pretends like they were always part of the Oda clan. No one finds them suspicious or anything. Like, everyone is like, oh yeah, well, you know, this is John. And you're having, like, you know, everyone else has, like, Japanese names and stuff. And it's like, well, John comes along, you know, he's a member of the Oda clan. Bushido. It doesn't make any sense, right? Like, it would break immersion. But this is the purpose. Like, this is what they want to do. They just want to create the message. And the message isn't interesting. People are... I mean, everyone knows the message at this point, right? Like, everyone knows what it's about. But no one wants to hear it anymore. Like, people just want to move away and they want to watch entertainment. So they have to use the message to push it into entertainment, to force it down people's throats. It's kind of like if this was happening when America was more religious, and every single movie, like, had to have religious themes in it. Like, if you look at the past, there were movies that had religious themes in it. But, like, imagine if every single goddamn movie would need to have religious themes in it, even if it makes sense or not. Like you'd go into Dungeons and Dragons, and you would say, like, no, like, even the gods believe in Jesus, and even the gods in D&D, like Baal and all the others, they still say a prayer to Jesus, because, you know, like, at the end of the day, the universe... I mean, it doesn't make sense. And even... I guess, like, you could even put the message if you do it right, but these people are so talentless because they're hired based on nepotism to the point where they don't know how to put the message in it. Like, there are woke shows that are good, right? But this is not what they can do. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.